beautiful day, Caloocan City, especially to you, my dear grade 8 learners. Let's make learning English as easy as ABC. Make sure that you are in your comfortable place and you are with your module, notebook, and pen. Today, we are going to use Quarter 3, Module 1. Let's start! What comes to your mind when you hear the word bias? How can you say that something or someone is biased? I am sure that you wanted to learn more about this. Are you ready, grade 8 learners? Great! Let's keep the ball rolling. When we say bias, it is any opinion that influences a person's thoughts, feelings, or actions. Are you familiar with these trending issues? Because of social media, we have a very easy access to trending news or issues. And every time we hear those things, we immediately react to it. Why? Because writers of these trending news use strategies that appeals to the readers. Have you ever think of an author's or writer's bias? What is an author's bias? An author's bias is basically when an author is unfair or inaccurate in his or her presentation of something. In their attempt to persuade, authors often make mistakes in their thinking patterns and writing choices. This is because every author has a point of view. Every author holds an opinion that affects his or her discussion of an issue. Opinions that you as a reader must recognize and understand. Since some judgment shows the author's biases or preferences or one side of the issue over the others. Remember, my dear grade 8 learners, we all have our biases that reflect our opinion or preferences in a particular outlook about life. It is perfectly normal and a part of being a human. Almost every piece of writing shows a little bit of bias. A reader's job is to recognize biases, think critically about that, and determine the effects of the writer's opinion. Here are the 5 steps in recognizing bias from a text. Number 1. Look for loaded words and phrases. These are words that are loaded with emotions, whether it is positive or negative. Reading for pleasure is a waste of time. People who spend hours on reading don't get to live in the real world. They don't really learn anything that is useful about dealing with everyday people and problems. Plus, teachers always make us read texts that are boring. Which words and phrases are charged with emotions? The word boring and the phrases a waste of time and don't really learn anything. This implies the author's bias. Let's go back to the paragraph. What is the topic? Correct! It is about reading for pleasure. What is the author's bias on the topic? Is it for or is it against? Correct! The writer's is against the topic. Number 2. Watch out for stereotypes. A stereotype is an overgeneralized belief about a particular group or category of people. Women are better than men in so many ways. Whether at home or at work, women always excel. In fact, there is always nothing that women cannot do better than men. On what stereotype does the author show bias? The author shows a stereotype on women as better than men. Let's take a closer look at the text. What is it all about? Exactly, it is about women. What is the author's bias on the topic? Is it for or against? Correct, it is for. Number 3. Notice unclear language or generalization. If the author isn't using a particular language, it could be an indicator of a bias. For example, online learning is the best mode of education in the new normal. Learners who have gadgets with internet access learn better than learners who only use modules. The internet is expensive though. Which does the author prefer, online learning or modular learning? The author prefers online learning. Did the author show an unclear generalization? Yes, the author failed to organize his or her ideas well, resulting to an unclear generalization of the topic. Let's check the paragraph one more time. What is it all about? Very good. It is about online learning. Identify the author's bias. Is it for or against? Very good. It is for. Number 4. Be on the lookout for one-sided arguments. If the author presented only one side of the argument, it is probably a bias. For example, many Filipinos disagree with DepEd Secretary Leonor M. Briones on the opening of classes on October 5 this year. They claim that the lives of everyone will be placed at risk once classes resume. Because of the threat of the COVID-19 virus, many people are protesting to further postpone the opening of classes. Did the author present a one-sided argument? If your answer is yes, you are correct. The author's argument is one-sided because it failed to present the side of the DepEd Secretary. One more time, learners, let's check the text. What is it all about? Correct, it is about the opening of classes on October 5. What is the author's bias? Is it for or against? Excellent job! The author is against the opening of classes on October 5. Number 5. Does the author present facts or opinions? Facts are the truth. However, opinions are based on our judgment or point of view. For example, most parents tell their children that engaging in romantic relationships can ruin their studies. As for me, based on my experience, being in a relationship provides inspiration to graduate. The feelings of excitement, love, and motivation make me believe that it is okay to be in a relationships while studying. What does the author use on his or her text? Fact or opinion? Correct, it is an opinion. The author shows bias according to his or her own feelings. What are the expressions that the author used to show bias? He or she uses the expressions "as for me," "based on my experience," "make me believe," as well as the phrase "the feelings of excitement, love, and motivation," to persuade audience to believe his or her opinion. Going back to the text, what is it all about? Yes, it is about engaging in romantic relationships. What is the author's bias on the topic? Is it for or against? Correct. The author is for romantic relationships. How about you? Do you agree with the author that it's okay to have girlfriend or boyfriend while studying? Learners, always remember that there is a perfect time for everything. It is important to listen to your parents and prioritize your status before having romantic relationships.